Welcome to Borderline Brilliant, the podcast where we talk about the messy, the meaningful, and everything in between.
I'm Mandeep.
And I'm Rashi. Siblings, polar opposites, and way too alike in others. Today we're talking about ditching the script, trusting your gut, letting go of fear, and finally getting out of your own way. So let's get into it.
Yeah, I think this is just about, a lot of people, they kind of have this plan, or it's ingrained in them, or whatever it may be, of this is what you have to do in order to succeed in life. Mm-hmm. Whether it starts at schooling and good grades and planning for your future and SATs, getting into good school. Yeah. Oh my God, it's a myriad of things. But then even past all of that, there's life. Like, well, I have to do this job and I have to grind for this amount of time to make this level or this position and all that. Like, it's just so not only structured, but like it's this solid singular path for each person, whatever it may be, whatever their profession may be, or whatever kind of thing they're going on. It's all about following these steps. And this is the only way to actually succeed.
Yes. Yeah.
And we're kind of talking about the polar opposite of that, of, okay, you may do these things for a certain amount of time and be in this rat race and all that. Then eventually you just get this feeling that kind of washes over you of, I'm not meant for this. I'm meant for so much more, or at least something different. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And my values, my talents, my whatever don't lead in this direction. But then there's that fear of, well, if I leave this path, then I'm going into completely unknown territory and everything's going to fall apart.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so there's that huge fear that keeps so many people trapped in this just mundane, boring, horrible existence instead of really living their true self and, betting on themselves or taking that risk or whatever it is. And then there's a point where not everyone achieves this, but you simply just know it's going to be all right. You decide to do what you're going to do and you just know it's going to work out.
Yeah, I agree. And we were having this conversation today about again, what should we talk about? And I threw it out there and I was like, I don't know if he's going to like it or not, but whatever. Because for me, it's been very strong. Like, I feel like it's been on my mind for weeks, but really in the last week, and a lot of this content I created for my Instagram account, for the Joy Consultant was, one of them. And it's one of the reels that's done the best organically was the unglamorous middle. Of basically where, I had to reschedule 2 of my workshops for different reasons. But, it's the stuff nobody ever talks about. And I loved it because so many women were like, thank you for saying the things that we all experience, but nobody's talking about them, right? Nobody's saying those things, or everyone's posting and saying everything's great. And
they're too busy faking until they make it, Rosh.
Yeah. And I'm like, listen, I get it. I understand. I want people to be succeeding. It's not that, but I'm also guys, is that really reality? Because I don't know. And I think, again, because of how I am, and I've really learned to trust my gut and trust my intuition and my knowing, I can feel when things are not authentic. I just can. And so I struggle with that sometimes when I see people, because I'm like, is it really going that well? Not in a negative or...
You're not hating, but you also recognize there's not only one trajectory, which is all the way up.
Skyrocketing, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And so, I was talking about that because for me, so much recently, I'm building the business. I'm, it's peaks and valleys, man. It's not a linear freaking growth. Yes, there are some businesses that do that, and that's great. I'm happy for them. But, I think especially in a service-based business, coaching is it's a different kind of space. I'm not selling a widget or a product that I can be like, hey, this is the best of this thing, right? I'm selling myself. I'm selling my experience. I'm selling my knowledge, how I can help people grow, become better versions of themselves, and that's hard to do when, you're just stepping into it, and I'm learning so much. But I think what really came across for me this week was, I was like, you know what? What if I just continue to run my business, but act like I don't have one? In the sense of obviously I'm doing all the things that I need to do to make, to create growth, but removing the pressure to perform. Because I think that's something that even though I try actively not to do that, it's so hard not to get caught up in that. And this week, I literally had this like realization that, you know what? It's gonna be fine. Like everything is gonna work out. I thought about, I was like, I've done literally the hardest thing, which is to have that out loud thought of like, yeah, okay, I'm 47. And at 46, I basically decided that accounting is not going to be my future. Like the whole thing that I had worked my whole life for, I thought I would retire from that job and do all the things or advance in it or open my own like firm or whatever is not what I'm going to do. I've had that, like, I think that to me now looking at like where I'm sure it'll change, but like to me to this point of opening my own coaching business is like, that's been the hardest thing to do is to be like, guess what? I don't want the life that I've worked so hard for, spent all those years, done all the right things, set up to be like the thing is not the thing that is fulfilling me anymore. One, and two is it's not the thing that is going to define me anymore. And I think that's a really hard realization to have. But it's also like one of the most exciting things to be like, yeah, and everything's going to be fine. It's all going to work out how it's supposed to. 100% feel that. And the other thing I think that also led me to this, and I'm sure a lot of you, like, I know you had read The Alchemist, right? And when one of my workshops, like the first one, when it got postponed, I first talked to you, I think. Yeah, I talked to you and I was explaining to you how I feel and whatever. And I was like, man, it's just this thing in me. I can't let it go. Like, it's like so in me that I'm like, I just know this is what I'm supposed to be doing, but things are not lining up the way that I want them to, or that I'm trying to make them happen. And you were like, you need to read The Alchemist. And it's so funny because I'm sure a lot of people, like one of my very best friends, it's her favorite book. And she had mentioned it years ago and given it to like my daughter as a gift. And I still didn't read it. I guess it clearly was not my time. My time was meant to read it now in the moment that I needed to see it when I was ready. And I loved that book. And, there's a line in it that says that, right? It's like, because once you have heard something or thought something, it will never escape you. Like it will never leave you. And that actually made me cry when I read the book because I was like, because I felt that. I was like, yeah, I feel this. And so like now I'm like, you know what, man? I'm just, gonna just like, I'm just ditching the script. I'm just gonna like flow. I'm just gonna go with it because I truly know in my heart, this is what I'm meant to do now. And it's not about, because it's going to be like wildly successful. I think it will be because I'm truly trying to help people, but I don't really care. I don't even care. I care about helping people. And that's my end goal. My end goal is I want to help people. So if I can do that and show up and help people, whether that's one person a month or 50 people a month, that's all I care about. Like, I think that's such a freeing and I don't know, it was such a calm came over me, I think, this last week.
Following what you want to do, what you feel as though you're meant to do, and just the fulfillment from actually being able to follow your passion, your light is incredible. And it reminds me, especially with your situation, it reminds me of something Jim Carrey once said. And I don't know the entire quote. And I'm sorry, guys, we do it fast and loose out here. We're not sitting here researching and pulling up quotes. So I'm going to paraphrase here. It's something Jim had said, and he was, my father was an accountant for X number of years, his whole life. And then one day he got fired and just got his bags packed, got a little box and left. And that was it. So even when you do the safe bet and you go the safe road, you can still fail. So why not go and truly pursue your own passion if the only fear is failure? Yeah. You could fail doing everything by the script. Yeah. Go off script. Do you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think more people are waking up to that. I think I just love it. Like my son has a quote on his board and I loved it. And he said it to me before he put it. It was, a winner is just a loser that kept trying.
That's it. And that's what truly defines those who are titans of industry, or those who have come with incredible innovations, or those who are just doing their thing that even others are doing, but they have actually come to the top, is that they just didn't let failure dissuade them from keep going. Yeah. They just kept it moving, kept it going. pivoted, changed, like we were talking about you with your workshops and things of that nature, whatever, maybe didn't go this way or that way. And it was like, yeah, but look at what you did gain from that, You kind of already got so geared up for it, and you found different kind of hurdles and things like that you were able to overcome and master. And you also found this direction of, hey, I can do a workshop. So that's awesome. Now take that to the next one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's just, there's still always a positive, and that's what you have to do as someone who's pursuing something, is you have to find those positives. You have to cling to them. You have to learn from the negatives and evolve.
Yeah.
But don't ever stop.
Yeah. No, I agree. It has been, I think, such a great feeling to get to a point of just being like, I'm just going to continue doing my thing. Things are going to naturally evolve. And, just removing that pressure to, perform or produce or have some kind of a whatever expected outcome of something versus just being like, I'm just going to go with it. And I know things are going to go well because they have been. I think that's the other realization I was having with I was having a conversation with a friend today, and it's like, I've made it this far and things have been going well. Yeah, I mean, have there been some hiccups? Yeah, absolutely. Who doesn't have those? But at the end of the day, it's been going well overall, right? So why am I then getting nervous and thinking, oh, this is the thing that's not going to work out? Why would it not? I think especially when you let go of fear and you truly are just chasing something, and it's not chasing it because of the money or the fame or the prestige, you are truly pursuing something out of your pure desire of just wanting to create change or wanting to bring something to others or help others.
Or wanting to be that person.
Yeah, right.
Wanting to follow that path.
Yeah.
And obviously share that path with others.
Yes, absolutely. And what's interesting is which happens a lot with a lot of my stuff because I'm very much more in tune to my ebbs and flows of energy. And I have been feeling so exhausted from I don't know, the last probably 4+ weeks. And, I was just I don't understand what's happening. But then I was also every time, and I know I've shared this with you before, is usually the pattern, I feel once you start realizing things, when they materialize in your life, especially the good things, there's always a period of there's the valley before it, right? That you get really down, you might feel sad, depressed, anxious, very heavy, whatever it is. And even as someone who recognizes these patterns, it sucks, guys. It's never fun to be in it because you don't know when you're going to be out of it, right? You don't know how long it's going to last. But I can tell you from experience that it's because something great is going to come out on the other side. And I think this particular week, it was just a couple of things that really lined up. And I was like, God, this makes so much sense. Why are you doubting any of these things? Because so many things, something basically came up of an opportunity for me, right? A career opportunity that I had never thought about, never even considered. And all of a sudden, I was like, shit, I, without even trying, have prepared myself to be qualified to be in this role.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think that was, and I was like, see, you weren't even trying. That's what happened when I wasn't trying. I was not even trying. I didn't have that end goal in mind. I just was had the idea of okay, now I have downtime when we're living in Malaysia. What do I really want to do? I had the mental capacity and the bandwidth to be what would you do if you didn't have all the other restrictions in your life? What would you want to do, right? And it started from really simple things of just taking care of myself, right? Putting myself first, taking care of myself, moving my body, eating better. And, that helped quiet the noise in my head that I had. And then that's really been able to really, I think, amplify what's really in my heart. What do I really want? What do I really desire truly? And not from a place of conditioning or expectations, but from truly a place of purpose. What do I really want? And I've always wanted to help people. I mean, that was just a natural thing. I've always wanted to help others in whatever capacity I could. And so I think that coming together this week was wow, this is amazing. I would be so great at this job that I didn't even think was
what I think is also incredible is that your husband brought that to you.
Yes.
because he also knows.
Yes.
Boom, this is you.
Yeah.
And of course you saw it and it was like 100%.
Yeah.
But what I mean is that you have literally followed that exact path that would make you perfect for this, to the point where even your husband was like, excuse me, have you seen this?
Yeah. Do you know about this?
This is you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I love that. And I was like, wow, how perfect is it that like everything has aligned in my path, and all my varied experiences like literally are coming together to make me like ideal for this role. I was like, wow, literally my whole life, not like even just my professional life, but like all of the adversities that I've dealt with, all of the change and different things have prepared me for this. Like, I think that was like, okay, you literally did all of those things without trying. So imagine what more you could create and do if you just stopped trying and just like followed the things that you want to do. Because this is literally the first time I've probably followed my heart and really just been like, I want to do this. And even like, we have the other episode about the human design, but one of the things that I learned about my human design is that I am meant to share my wisdom from learned experience. And I think that made me feel a lot better about all the things that I tried and didn't fulfill. I know my husband thought it was impulsive. It's like you start stuff and then you don't want to finish it. And I did. But I realized why I was doing that, because I was trying to find the thing. I was trying to find my niche. I was trying to find my thing, whatever that was. And now I realize this is what it is. It's
and you
coaching.
made several pivots.
And I made several pivots, but I think now...
But all of those were from learning yourself, and kind of, as you explored one avenue, another one opened for you.
Yes.
So it wasn't so much, just ditching one thing and jumping on a new thing. It was more of an evolution of yourself, where you still took a remnant of what you were doing anyhow. It just led into a new synergy.
I think a lot of it was because I think I was trying to pursue things that were adjacent to my career, that were adjacent to accounting, because I thought that made, like, right, we think logically, right?
Yeah,
that's what logical brain is like, okay, well, if you're in accounting, then maybe you could be a tax preparer. That works, or you could do this or that or whatever. But it was always things that were like safe options, right? Within the orbit of where I already was. And, coaching was never even on my mind. And so, like, having stepped into something that's so far removed from my normal thing, I honestly feel it's also taught me this is just the first evolution. Like, I know there will be more. And I think that we all need to be more open to that, of not being afraid of failing. I know there's so many great examples of how many times they failed before they actually hit it. And I think about that all the time when I'm like in these moments of, well, is this the right thing? Is this what I need to do? But then I'm like, if I don't try, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Well, and I think that's what's important to clarify here when you say, just stop trying or this or that. It's like you stop trying to put a square peg in a round hole.
Yes.
You still try and work very hard, but to follow yourself, to follow your heart, to follow your passion. And that's so much more natural. But you make huge efforts to stay true to yourself and to help others and do all these things. Because I'm a perfect example of someone who honestly, his whole life has just known it's going to be all right, but literally did nothing about it. And was just like, come on, universe, do your thing.
I mean, I had moments like that too, for sure. Yeah.
No, for sure. But do you know what I mean? But like, you still have to pursue that. You have to identify that. You have to search within yourself. You have to kind of find what it is that you do, or have an amazing sister who helps you identify, and an incredible niece as well. I have to give a shout out there, nephew.
Yeah, for sure.
And brother-in-law. All right, I'm just going to give everyone a shout. Mom, Dad, you're all amazing.
They all deserve it.
But like, it's just that, you do have to find your natural, innate ability, talents, and things like that, and lean into those. And then you really don't have to try that hard, because it's you. It's what you have. Yeah. It's what's there. It's your literally given to you to do that. And once you do that, then it doesn't feel like you're trying any longer, even though you're putting a lot in. It's so much more natural. You're not, again, trying to put a square peg in a round hole. You're following your own flow, your own kind of just rhythm, and it's awesome. And it can be daunting for sure, especially when you're leaving that traditional kind of chiseled out route, and I used to have a quote on my Facebook. It's so funny. And it was like, I know, guys, we're doing a throwback here to cheesiness. But I was like, I'll either find a way or make my own.
Yeah.
And that's really what it's about. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't go that regular route or whatever it is to achieve that happiness or that level, that life that you want, then make your own, blaze your own trail. Because not everything is cookie cutter. Not everything is taught at school. Not everything is in a boardroom or in an office. Some things you literally just have to go out there on your own limb and just be like, this is what I have to offer to the world. This is my light, and I'm going to go ahead and shine it, even though there's no traditional path to it. But follow it.
I agree.
Follow it. Pursue it.
Yeah. I think that's the greatest thing. And I think, I really, truly hope more people are waking up to that, more of that, them being authentic to themselves, not trying to fit into what everyone else is doing. Like, one of the things that I see so much, and we all see it now on social media, is like everyone copying each other's stuff. And it's like, guys, I mean, I get it. Not everyone's going to pay attention to whether you're the first one or not, but it's also like there are ways to just be original, like be yourself. Every one of us has genuinely interesting things to share if you just take the time to discover them.
There's a real audience for all of that, especially this day and age. Like, and you'll never be as good as an original, ever. So some are okay with that mediocre. This person's doing these many numbers. If I literally copycat it, I can do these little numbers and I'm okay. Well, listen, if that's you and mediocre is your bar, then go at it. But some of us know we're destined for a lot more. Yeah. And you know what? Even you mediocre folks, you are too. If you could just believe in yourself and literally just push and lean into what you truly have and what you truly do. And
I agree. I mean, like, even like, I just recently, like, I started coaching. I've been in it for a little bit over a year now. And, people, like, when I really went in and when I became like the joy consultant, that's really when I really understood what I wanted to put out there in the beginning. I created a whole website. I did Roots Wellness Coaching. I thought that was it. And then, the more that I worked with clients, I was like, this is not it. This is not what I want to do. I'm not feeling it. Wellness coaching, I am a wellness coach, but I was like, more of it is really rewriting your story, rewriting your life. What kind of life do you want to create? Like, what kind of life do you want to embody? And then, in the beginning, I was just like working with women, and I was like, listen, you can like work with me one-on-one. It's just like one-ofs. Like, you come, we work together, and then you try to go integrate this stuff, and then you can come back when you feel like you're ready, right? Like, and I would tell people, I'm like, I am not here because be like, oh, do you have like programs or how? I'm like, no, I don't, because I was like, I don't really know what I want that to look like. I don't want to just create, yes, this is what it, like, this is my intro program and this is my 3-month program.
Well, you know what? I think that can never work for who you truly are.
Yeah.
Because I understand you might have tried this route or that route, but as someone who is close to you and knows you, and from what I gather from what you're doing, in all honesty, the Joy Consultant really works, because what you're doing is you're just talking to these people and helping them make sense of their life, make sense of maybe where the shortfalls are, where they can do to improve things. And really, you're listening, and then you're offering them support. You're offering them like encouragement, and you're just kind of like, listen, I've been there.
Yeah.
I'm the one. I struggled with the same thing you struggled with, and this is what I had to do to get myself right. Yeah. And you're validating it, and not in any kind of a fake or frou-frou way. Very much in a like, I've been there, sister. You know what I mean? And this is how I broke free of that. And these are the positive things you need to understand and appreciate about yourself. And, and these are some, of course, you can work with them on different exercises, on different things, but really more than anything, Rashi, I feel like you relate to them and their struggle, and you help them kind of make sense of it and help them kind of push through whatever barriers they may have. And that's just for me outside looking in.
No,
I've
that
never
makes
sat
you
in
feel
on
really
one of your
good.
client sessions or anything of that nature. I just, you and me, the dynamic we have, and the things you've told me about what you're trying to do and what you do and whom you speak to. And that's what I feel like. Like, you're really just a strong support system. And a lot of people need that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes the world just wants to make you feel like you're crazy. You know what I mean? Like, you're the problem, or you're this, you're that. And it's not about creating conflict or barriers, saying, yeah, that guy's the problem, or this person's the problem. It's about just saying, hey, listen, I hear you, and you're right. in this things, and this is where maybe you could kind of give a little, and this is, what could help you. You have a lot of strategies to help people with things, and again, that's just my honest opinion of what I sense from you, and I know you're out there to help, and you do for sure. You got a lot of people in your circle that you work with, and you guys all make each other better, and I think that's awesome, because you're really open to different ideas and different approaches, because not everybody shares the same path, but a lot of us do have the same struggles.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
and sure. I think that's been, it's so interesting because so many people have started saying the same things to me, right? And that's like the biggest thing, I think, that, when someone works with me is like, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to just like tell you like, yeah, hey, come, you need to do X amount of sessions, right? I only now recently finalized it, right? And I was like, okay, there's like an intro. It's like the spark, like, let's work together for 3 sessions. Because then I can see if you're actually going to commit to it. Because like, listen, guys, at the end of the day, my goal is for you to actually have real change, right? Not to like, yeah, okay, here, sign up and then you do whatever. I want to know that you're committed too. Because I mean, like, I want to work with people who are willing to make the change. And, I was talking to somebody else and she was like, I can see that, like, it comes across and how you approach this. She's like, I know you're not just trying to do this endless, like, healing loop. And I'm like, no. When people ask, like, well, how do you differ from, like a therapist? I'm like, I differ from, and I do not have anything against therapy. I think it is incredible and it's needed. And I've even referred some of my clients to therapy because there's certain things that I am not licensed or, trained to do. But what I really try to do is really help you ignite and create that actual change in your life, not just talk about it, not just think about it, but really try to embody the joy that you really want to bring into your life. What does that actually look like on a day-to-day basis, And I think that came from this exact thing of, letting go of the script, not being afraid, and really feeling comfortable in just who I am and owning it and really stepping into it. And the more that I have embraced that, feeling of like, I'm just going to put myself out there and whoever receives it, it's great. And who doesn't, that's okay. Like,
I think your tool set and inspiration and guidance, all of that comes from so much that you went through.
Yeah.
And came through the other side sane.
Yeah.
And you want to help others do the same thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these things can break people, can break relationships, can break families. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Professional things and things like that. And then when someone, some people, it's about, they get so overwhelmed. And that's why having someone to kind of been there, done that, help you through it, kind of understand what's been there and then got through the other side. And those who don't ever want to get there, those who want to set boundaries early. Because that's a lot of part of you, is the boundaries that you've set and the things, that, if you would have known better, because we've all been through so much. And there's a lot of lessons you would tell yourself and help yourself to before having to actually suffer through that. So, I mean, I think that's a big part of it as well, right? And listen, I think for sure that a lot of the things that helped you not break through that is family, friends, professional associates, and then these other things you went to seek, and you're kind of bringing that whole collective to, whomever you speak to or try to help. So for sure. But that's, again, following your natural path, your natural, what you've been through. And that's where you found that healing, that warmth, that joy. And now you're like, hey, talk to me. I can help you. You don't have to go it alone.
Yeah.
It's tough to navigate things.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's why I really wanted to talk about this, because I think there's so many people that are in this place. Like, I was talking to a friend and she was saying, there's so many, like, I think it have women and men, but obviously I talk to more women. And, it's like women that are in that.
I'm a man.
I do.
We talk a lot, guys, but I'm sorry.
But, it's like, you've done all the things, all the right things, right? Like, you've done the career path and this and that, whatever.
You follow the script.
Yes, you follow the script, and then you get to a point where then you're like, wait, but I'm not really happy. And like, guys, let me tell you from personal experience, it is the most freeing thing. It's hard. It is not an easy thing to say when you've done the things, when you follow the script, to get to a point in your life Like, I was 44, 45, I think, when I really said it out loud of like, yeah, no, I don't like this. Like, this is not fulfilling me. This is not what I expected. It's funny because I did expect it, but then clearly something deeper inside of me didn't expect it. It expected something else. But then also, I haven't done anything. I had never really done anything different to create a different outcome, right? And so I think it is the most freeing thing. Yes, it will be terrifying the first time you have the thought, the first time you actually maybe write it down, you say it out loud to someone. I think it's terrifying, like, for me, from a personal perspective of like, even like my husband, I was like, how is he going to feel about this? Because, we're in this together. We created this life. Like, what is he going to think? Now it seems like all of a sudden that I've just decided that like I want different things, right? Like in my life. And I think it was but again, I think it's one of the most incredible things is that the more that I step more strongly into it, everyone has received it so well. And I think that's part of the fear that people, when they think if they're going to say this thing out loud, like, I'm not happy, they may think that their whole world is going to crumble, or people are going to be like, well, how are you not happy? Like, everything is great, but I think it's one of the things, like, even now I talk to my friends, my very closest friends. And guys, I am not a closed off person. At least I never thought I was, but I have talked to my friends like who have known me for years, like decades, and they're like, we had no idea that you were so anxious on the inside. They're like, that it never came across. You always always came across as so self-assured, so confident, so like happy. And I think it's so crazy because as someone who I felt was being so genuine, I literally thought everyone could see it. Like, I had no idea. No one could see what I thought was happening on the inside.
I think a lot of people are, once again, following the script. Do you know what I mean? Like, until you actually come out with it and address these things and are open about them, everyone kind of dismisses little things here, little there, because they're not really using their intuition, looking at it, this, that, and the other. They're just kind of like following that little script. Everybody's doing their thing, and everyone thinks it's okay. Oh, she's having an off day, or she's just whatever. It's like, whatever. It's not about truly, genuinely connecting and digging into that. And some people don't want to pry either, and they're just like, well, it might be whatever. And I feel like you felt like you were being quite genuine, quite sincere all the time. You're just like, how did you not see that, maybe this or that wasn't working? But again, and like you were saying, I think it's important here. You're talking about, you spoke to your husband and things of that nature, people that may not have been ready to receive, in your opinion. A lot of people may feel that way in their lives too. And that's another place where you can offer some guidance, you know what I mean? And some reassurance. And strategies, let's be honest. Because not to give the game away, but, when you do have something of that nature, just saying, I'm not happy, that can be shocking for those around you. But that's why it's important to follow that up with what you're not unhappy about, or what you're unhappy about, or what, is not working, and to provide that depth to those around you that love you and care about you and your well-being. Assurances of it's not necessarily this or that or the other, it's me internally, and what's the next step? How do we bring that joy back into our lives? How do we address that? And that's important. And, once again, having been there, done that, gone through it, come out the other side, and every day presents its own challenges, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But being ahead of the curve and really leaning into that is important for sure.
Yeah. And I think there's a distinction between being happy and actually experiencing joy. And I think when you're literally on autopilot all the time and you're just kind of like functioning from a place of like, this is my standard operating procedure, you may feel happy, but are you really truly like living? And I think that's what this to me is like, really ditching the script is like, are you really experiencing the things that you want in your life?
Well, being happy is fleeting, right? I can do something that makes me happy for an X amount of time or this, that, and the other, but then you're back to reality. So true happiness or joy is about being truer to yourself, to your own kind of alignment. So, and then that takes adjustments, that takes changes, and getting those around you on board as well. And because I know for me, I've always known to some extent, I'm an entertainer. I'm someone who can definitely, and I enjoy being, in a room or in any kind of a setting where I can hold and captivate an audience.
Yeah.
In whatever way, in any way, whether it's, through telling an incredible story or, working through a problem or anything like that. That's my natural innate ability. And one of the best is literally entertaining people. You know what I mean? Just having a good time and making everyone laugh. That brings me so much joy personally. But it's something I can do pretty effortlessly. It's just getting up there to do it. You know what I mean? Being put in that position to do it and things of that nature. So I've always enjoyed that. Truly, it brings me happiness and I love doing it. And I promise you, it brings those around me happiness too. But it's like, well, how can we focus this? How can we reach a broader audience? Things of that nature. And that's why we're doing what we're doing now and leaning into it. And that's part of that. Part of it really is how to make it effortless. Yes. Honestly. Because that's what we're here to achieve. I don't want to. We all know we have to work at things, but you shouldn't have to work at something so hard. Part of it should be innate. Part of it should be part of your DNA.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? That you can help and offer and share that gift with others. Of course, there's work, but the work should be more of, in my opinion, for you and for me, the work is reaching a broader audience.
Yeah.
Getting people to understand that we're here for them and what we have to offer for them, but not the actual help we offer.
Yeah.
That's innate.
Yes, right. Yes, I agree. I mean, it's like, and I think that's the other thing that's happened in the last couple of weeks is, I had clients or, friends message me or, and I just responded. One of them is like my client. She sent me a message, asked for something, very like simple, and again, obviously, because I do it, I think I downplay it, but she basically was like, can you just give me like a motivating message? I really need to work on my business, and I literally didn't think, I just started texting her back, just started texting her back and basically, and she was like, thank you so much. Like you felt what I did, because she didn't even mention what I said back to her, wasn't even on the radar, right? She's just like, just send me a motivating text. And I was like, sure, but the crazy thing is, which again, the synchronicity of today, like what we're talking about, is I basically replied back to her and I said something like, you are coming from a place of fear. You're thinking not, what if this fails? You're actually afraid of what if this succeeds? And I think it's so funny, we think about like, who's afraid of success? But let me tell you, as someone who's building something, we're all afraid of it. It is such a weird concept because I never thought that until I stepped into this space. And, because that was just what I felt when I got the message, even though obviously she was just like, hey, just send me a motivating text. I need to get some stuff done for my business today. She's in the same boat as me where working full time, still trying to build this. She's doing the same thing. And I said to her, I was like, don't be afraid of succeeding. Like, don't be afraid of this success. It's going to be great for you. And it was such a simple, it was like such an, like you said, such an autonomous response for me. And, it wasn't like I didn't overthink it. I literally just responded and she was like, thank you. This was way more than I expected. And it's so helpful. And I was just like, okay, I need to step into that power that I have. I think sometimes I just think it's innate and everyone has it. But then the more I talk to people, I'm like, no, not everyone has it.
And it's your gift.
Right. Yes. And I think it's and I think that's the thing. When you release fear, you can really step into your power and into your gifts, and those will come through more if you're willing to let go of the fear.
Listen, you're the one who sparked all of this with you and me and what we're doing and wherever we're going to go, because I absolutely have always wanted to be completely off the radar. I love holding court and being whatever with those that I'm close with and those, whatever. I don't mind that. I love that. I thrive in that. But I love anonymity. I absolutely love not being in any kind of radar or anything like that. So that was the biggest obstacle in doing what we're doing. And of course, now we've recorded a few of these and it's getting more and more natural, but it was like pulling teeth for the first one. It was just I don't want that. My whole life, I remember your daughter and I wrote a song together, and literally the first lyric was, I don't want your fame. And we built the entire song around that, which you might hear one day. We'll see. We don't know. That's on her daughter, not on me. Yeah. She's a singer. Yeah. But yeah, you know what I mean? Because that was the first thing that came to me is there's a lot of great things and a lot of success and all that, but I don't want that. I love being anonymous. I love being, not that I'm, toxic or anything of that nature and I want to get away with some keyboard warrior stuff or anything like that. I just like living life unbothered and things of that nature. But then at the same time, all I mean is that was a big hurdle to get over and whatnot, because obviously putting out a podcast, doing things of that nature, and we plan to succeed. That's what we're here for. You know what I mean? We're here to get the message across to as many people we can. So, when you come in with that mindset that we have, you have to understand that may be something that comes from it eventually if you reach that pinnacle that you hope to achieve, because no one makes this for like 5 people. We want to reach massive audiences at the end of the day. Everyone wants to succeed in what they do. So you have to accept that. And that was the toughest hurdle for you and me, but you're the one who really broke that mold by really putting yourself out there and starting this whole journey that you did and whatnot. And then so I saw that and I was like, well, okay, let's go. Because I also understood the synergy you and I have and what we can do. And we expect great things for this. I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't do this if I didn't think it would succeed. I feel like this is going to be awesome. And but then knowing that, that's that fear of success. I had to get over that. I had to get over the fact that I'm not going to just get to be in the shadows where I thrive. It's going to be out there. But you know what? Let's go. Let's do it. And now I'm all in. But that was a huge hurdle.
No, I agree. It's I think it's that thing that we just think is I don't know, we think it's not, like the thing that we're gonna think about, but let me tell you, it will come up, and it's more of that's more of the fear than, of failing. Yeah. Like, I think that comes up more to people than, than anything else. It's like, what if I succeed? Like, what if this actually works out? And I just want to read, guys. I want to read the message I sent her because I think this is so helpful for others, right? But I was like, each day we're given a chance to make progress in our dreams. The greatest obstacle that interferes with us is usually our fear. What if this actually works? What will I do if I succeed? Everything that your heart desires is on the other side of your doubt and fear. If you have the dream, it's because God wants it to come to life through you. He picked you for this path. And, I told her, I was like, hey, what's one thing you can move forward today? Like, just pick that. I know for me, gosh, I literally have a bajillion things that I want to get done, right? But if I think about all the things, it's so overwhelming. But I really do feel like if you have that, if that thought comes to you, that idea comes to you, that dream comes to you, there's a reason it's there. And just because you can't figure out the whole path forward, I think all of us want to figure out the whole plan. That's not the point. The point is just to keep it. Like, fine, write it down somewhere, right? Put it on your phone, write it down on a piece of paper or journal, whatever you do. And then just come back to it. It may not come through to you the whole thing at once. It doesn't for most of us, right? But I think if it keeps coming up to you over and over again, that is not a coincidence, and it's not your ego, unless it's like telling you, hey, I just need to make $1 million. Yeah, then that's your ego. Yeah. Right? But if it's really genuinely an idea that comes to your heart and it keeps coming up for you, I think there's a reason for it, and you need to really follow it and honor that. And again, see the same thing, it's the same thing. It's the fear, right? So much of what we want is sitting on the other side of just stepping over that hurdle of doubt or fear in ourselves. And I just want people to understand that, because I really do feel like right now there's a huge shift that's happening in our world. And I think for those of us that keep having these ideas and these dreams, don't let fear and doubt be the reason why you don't try. Be reasonable. If there's a product idea you have and you don't have to do all of it. Make one prototype, man. At the end of the day, think about it this way, right? If you're going to invest, I don't know, if you have the money, right? You have $1,000 or $10,000 or whatever you think you need to even start that thing, that whatever that dream is that you want. When you are 80 years old, are you really going to think back and be like, yeah, I'm so glad I never did that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it's a cliche, people say it all the time, but it's true. No, you're going to think back. And I told my husband this. I was like, I know because we had this conversation recently, and he's like, just don't focus on that side of it. Just focus on the part that you really enjoy. The reason you started this. Like, don't focus on the performance part of it. Just keep doing what you want to do. And like, so that's one of the things that I created, because so much of my stuff is giving back. And so I started this initiative to give back, to be able to make this work accessible to all women. And so I've called it the Joy's Open Door. And essentially it's a sliding scale. So women can basically come, it's on my website. I will put it on here for you guys. And if you want to, work with me, you do not have to explain, but it's for anyone who basically, the investment's hard for them. I want women to be able to do this. So I was like, and so I was trying to think of how can I offer it to people who, maybe can't afford the investment. And I understand that, but let me tell you what's harder to come up with. I get it. Money is there, but having the willingness to actually start is so hard. You can have the money, but if you don't have the willingness to start, and I see that with so many people, is that they don't have that willingness to actually be like, actually, I don't really want to make change. I do, but I don't. It's really hard. It's like the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I mean, I can tell you that from experience. It's not easy. It's not easy to really face yourself and change. Like, I get it. And I think a lot of why people don't pursue those dreams is because part of pursuing that dream or that idea and putting it into the world is facing all those things that you don't really want to face, because it's easy to continue to stay on autopilot and just follow the script. Because when you go off script, you don't know what's going to come out of it, right?
And you're also, that's a big leap of faith. And then to not only abandon that side, but come on to this side, then it's kind of like, wait a minute, you had all these dreams, you had all these hopes, you had all this, I'm sure. And what if it doesn't? What if it fizzles out? What if, versus I could do this, I could do that, but I'm stuck here. That is somehow easier for people to manage than if they actually took that leap of faith because of the fear of, be it success or failure. Mm-hmm. They'd rather that unknown stay there and just follow the beaten path.
And so my really message to everyone is, if it's coming up for you, that idea, that thought, that dream, if it keeps coming back to you, there's a reason for it. And please, please, please follow it. Like, really, step off the road, ditch your script, see what comes up, because, and then ask for guidance from whoever you want to, whether that's God, the guides, universe, whoever.
Joy consultant, just saying.
Yeah. I had a friend who messaged me and said, I've had a really rough few weeks. And she's like, you posted, I sent all my friends a message, the new moon is in Aries. There's like a lot going on with that. Again, not a super expert, but I just like following this stuff. I find it very intriguing. And, I sent all of my friends, my close friends, a message saying, hey, I'm praying, hope you're having a good night. I'm praying that the new moon, creates magic and miracles and blessings for you. And she was like, she brought back, she's like, thank you. And then I posted a story basically saying, hey, like, it's really, really strong, this one. Like, set your intentions. What do you really want? Like, say it out loud, And so she, that was like Friday night, I think I did that. So Saturday morning, I got up late. We had a late Friday night. I get up late on Saturday, and I see a text from her at 7, and she's like, and this is someone who I'm, we're friends, but like, I've only known her from recent, so like, we don't talk very often, right? And so she sent me a message at 7 a.m. and she's like, hey, when you're up, please call me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, the old side of me was like, okay, so is everything okay? Like, is there something, like, what, it's just like, I was like kind of worried. And so then, I finally got to talk to her later that day, and she was like, you sent me that message, and then I saw your story about setting intentions, and she's like, so I did. She's like, I literally was like saying to the universe, please, I need to like throw me a bone, man. Like, show me something, like that things are going to get better or that whatever. And she basically was like, yeah, something that I wasn't even expecting or thought was possible happened out of the blue. She's like, I literally got a message about something and was like, wait, is this a scam? Because she was like, I had really written it off, that it wasn't even going to be possible. And so again, I think that goes back to the power of belief, like believing things are possible. And I was telling her the same thing. I was like, if you've been having a hard few weeks, I'm not surprised something really good came through for you. That's a pattern. But I think sometimes when you're like stuck in that pattern, and you keep believing or looking for the negative things, unfortunately, the negative things keep showing up for you. So I just want people to really step out of that fear, ditch your script, follow the thing.
And I just want to circle back to one thing you're talking about a lot of times when you're saying that, you know, sometimes maybe it's the money, that it's too much of a cost barrier to entry for whatever it may be. I think our story can resonate with that too, with sort of a twist on that, to where we wanted to do a podcast. So of course we jumped into the biggest and best, for a home podcast studio. We spent thousands of dollars, like almost $3,000, getting the nicest mics, the nicest mixers, the arm stands, the high quality cables, and all that. Because we're going to do this, we're going to do it right.
Yeah.
And then guess what? Spent that. We did not create a podcast for months, because we actually created our own barrier to entry there.
Yeah.
Because you had to set the whole damn thing up. You had to set up the mics and the wires and the mixer and the cables and all this jazz. And it's like, well, where do you put that in the house? Where do you... Like, it became crazy. And it was just like, we literally spent the money to create a barrier. And, now we're recording on what I think is excellent equipment, under $300. Under $300 for just some lapel mics, good quality, good stuff. I'm not saying it's cheap, but I'm saying look at the difference. Something that was almost $3,000 versus something that's less than $300, but way more convenient, way easier to use if you charge it. Of course, you have to charge things to work. No big deal. That totally didn't happen to us earlier today. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and so it's like you can create those barriers too. So it's not always money. You know what I mean? It's sometimes you do things to sabotage yourself and you don't even realize it. So that was just really funny. We thought, well, we have to have the best of the best to actually, if we're going to go in, we're going to go in hard. No, you just need to have something accessible, something that can allow you to get started. And that's given us more success than we ever had. That other stuff is collecting dust. I got half the kit in Florida, and Rashi has half the kit here. I mean, so also don't do this. Sometimes you sabotage yourself.
By trying to make it perfect.
Yeah, by trying to be perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Exactly.
And that's not the point. Being perfect is not the point. So, so I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope that you, share your dreams, ideas, whatever, if you want to, or whatever is, on your mind. And I hope this is helpful, and I hope it helps some of you step out of that fear and, ditch the script and ignite your own things.
In the words of Jim Carrey that I remember, you can fail doing it the way everyone else did it. So why not try to do it your own way?
That's true. That's great. No. All right. Well, we're gonna end on that.